हाँ ठीक है, लड़का अच्छा है पढ़ाई में,
Yeah.
ऑलराउंडर है तो अच्छा कर सकता है लाइफ में, एंड अच्छा करना इज लाइक आईआईटी पहुंच जाएगा, राइट?
Then you went home and everybody would be like, एक तो ये आईटी में नहीं आया, ऊपर से इसने जॉब भी छोड़ दी.
I remember like the entrepreneurship word was so new to the entire family. Hi, my name is Kumar Ranjan. I'm 31. I'm a cancer survivor, and I'm on a mission to make Indian dairy toxin free.
Ooh, that's a huge mission. You just started this startup, right?
Yes.
And you have already decided that this is what you want to do.
Yeah, I think few things come to you. I think they're destined to come to you.
Yes, yes. Me and Ranjan, we went to an event, a 3-day event, where we didn't meet.
Yeah.
We didn't know that हम लोग वहाँ पे थे, and there was a WhatsApp group. I remember there was a message. I think you sent a message about your startup.
Correct.
And it was like something amazing for me, because like I'm a mom, and for me to see that somebody is thinking about toxin-free dairy in India, that was an eye-catching thing for me, and I contacted you. I wanted you to come here and talk about it. And what I really found awesome about Ranjan was the fact that he was the first. I think he's the first person who never asked me कि आप पे कितने followers हैं. I was like, oh, this person is, I think he's like at some other level, like he's already entitled, enlightened. He's enlightened.
Right.
And I was waiting, I was waiting for you to come back to me with that question. कितने followers हैं श्रुति, link भेजना, ये सब करना. मैंने कहा ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है कोई. But then now when you will listen to Ranjan's story, you would realize that his way of thinking, what is his way of thinking, and his approach towards life. And it is really a pleasure to have you here.
Same. Yeah.
What led you to this moment?
I think it all starts somewhere believing yourself, right? And when I was growing, right? So being from a small family in Lucknow, we were always very religious in nature, right? And when I say religious, we were like talking about, doing your prayers, all those things.
Yes.
But when I started, kind of coming to my 10th, 11th, 12th phase, right? I started questioning everything, like why do we do all this thing? Why do we do puja? Why do we do all this thing? Right?
Okay, you were questioning.
Yeah, I was questioning all this thing. And I was trying like, okay, maybe this is a lot of, faith is not, the foundation is not so great.
Okay.
There's still a lot of things which are very biased and they're just carried forward in some other way.
Biases.
Correct, right? So I was like, okay, maybe this is not so much, and I kind of transitioned from a believer to an atheist, basically, right? And I went to college, and I was kind of living my life over there. But it so started to happen that the events in my life, the way things happened in the entire 7-8 years of the entire graduation and my work. So in this whole transition, the way events happened, it kind of brought me back towards believing in things again.
Okay.
Right? So that means like now I don't have to ask a logical question that why do I need to believe in something? It just simply comes to you. It's like a manifestation basically you do about things in life, about yourself. And that has been an interesting journey for me, how I became an atheist from a believer, and then now again I'm a believer, right? But this time I'm not saying I'm religious in nature in terms of that I believe in Hinduism or Islam or Christianity. Believing in yourself.
Believing in yourself.
And that's more important, right?
That is, I think, the most important thing.
Correct, right? The people around you are the ones you see and interact with, right? So if you believe that there's a greater power which exists, it actually starts from the people around you and you yourself.
Wow.
So somewhere you need to kind of first take care of yourself and the people around you, and not worry too much about the consequences, and things will fall in place.
Fall into place.
So I think
But
that's how.
ये belief की जो journey है.
Right.
From where did it start?
I think it started from the first instance was the college part.
Okay.
How I went to college, because like a typical Indian
Middle class,
student or good
family.
student. So families are like हाँ ठीक है लड़का अच्छा है पढ़ाई में all rounder है तो अच्छा कर सकता है life में, and अच्छा करना is like IIT पहुंच जाएगा, right? So
I love that,
right?
by the way.
So
कि अच्छा कर सकता means
IIT पहुंच जाएगा. So
and that is the proof कि अच्छा है.
And that is a very important part of parenting I've learned, right? People just make a conception that if your kid is good in maths or science, he can go to IIT, right?
Okay.
That's not how it works, honestly, right? And that creates a lot of peer pressure also. Because the moment you hit class 11th,
everybody is preparing for IIT.
Exactly, right? and you have to think about your coaching, you have to think about your classes and so many things, and the entire, the crowd is focused on
Yeah.
a target or a race
Huh.
instead of focusing on self-development, which is very crucial at that point of time.
Yes, yes, yes.
You see, in the growing years,
Yeah.
this is the time you need to focus on building yourself,
Building
a
yourself.
personality for yourself, right?
Wow.
But now you're like, okay, I need to
Now
finish
you're
my
already
school
proving yourself. Now you're really got into
Correct.
the race of proving yourself.
because and you're proving it for someone else,
And you're proving it was for your parents.
for your parents, right? For your
और
society.
for your uncles, aunts, you
Correct.
know,
So-
जिसने भी डाल दिया दिमाग में.
Correct. So that's how it happens, right? And as a kid, you don't have that maturity to think about all these things.
Yes,
so you
yes,
just
yes.
follow what has been told to you.
what others are telling you, because you think कि ये मेरे लिए सही होएगा.
Correct. So
Right.
exactly, right? You think, okay, हाँ, parents कह रहे हैं तो सही कह रहे हैं, right? Again, you're not denying the fact that obviously they have best
interest in
interest in your mind, but again, I think the kids need to be given certain amount of space
Yeah.
to first identify who they really are and what they can do in life.
And then what they want to do.
And very interesting, and just today while coming here, right, in the metro, the guy was like, a guy was sitting next to me, is like, till the time people have graduated, which is 25, 26 years of old,
हाँ.
after they've graduated, now they're like, अब करना क्या life में?
अब करना क्या है?
Which is the like a, I'd not say midlife crisis, but still like early life crisis.
Yes,
That's the kind of thing you need to start working very early on.
very early on.
And thanks to everything, the kind of urbanization we are currently having, the new kids, I mean, especially the new families I'm seeing, kids are much aware of.
But there is a reason for that, and we'll come back to the yes.
So-
what you had discussed yesterday,
Correct.
like passing it on.
Correct.
We'll come to that.
So
that I think when somebody is actually deciding for you
Right.
कि ये intelligent है तो ये इसमें जाएगा, तो that becomes your identity. Do you think that becomes your identity?
for a short period, people, or especially students, they start believing this as their identity.
This is the identity.
Because the moment someone says, this is, this guy can make it to an IIT, suddenly you start thinking of yourself, okay, I'm smarter than other people.
Okay, and then what happened when you were preparing for? Did you make it?
No, I didn't make it. I
You made
think I was actually a victim of this whole peer pressure.
Huh.
Though I think so. I was going in a coaching, so I took a year drop, right?
Yes.
Which is another thing, right? People typically
Pressure.
think, ठीक है एक साल try करते हैं,
एक साल
फिर
try
जाएंगे.
करते हैं.
And I was fairly good in my studies, especially in all the things. So
But the competition is huge.
it's huge, right? So
It's insane, I think.
it's definitely insane, right? So in my batch, we had like a group of 5-6 kids who are doing very well. So as part of the same group, and my teachers were also like, "हाँ, ठीक है, this guy can crack it," right? So I had that confidence in me. And I remember when I was sitting an exam, there was specifically at one point I still remember I was writing my exam and the time was less. I was supposed to fill multiple questions, and the pressure I had, because I could remember all the statements made by my parents, my uncles, my teachers that ये तो निकाल ले जाएगा, and I was literally at that point where I was like, oh shit, I'm failing to do that right now. So my entire focus started going towards the kind of expectation the family had set
Expectations,
and my
right.
teachers had set,
Had set.
than focusing on exam. So I couldn't complete my exam.
मतलब मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि because somebody is not able to clear that exam, which is really a very tough exam, और हो सकता है कोई किसी ने आपने शायद 1-2 नंबर से ही छोड़ दिया, that kind of becomes your identity, like you kind of become like a failure in your own eyes.
हाँ,
ऐसा
obviously.
did you feel that? Did you
Yeah,
feel
absolutely. Even if I didn't feel that, people made me feel that.
They made you feel that.
So after we went, after I went to college, and though I had an amazing time, it was a great, I think starting of my life. But especially people in your family, you're like, अगर तुम वहाँ होते, तो ये होता और अच्छा होता, right? And you get bothered sometimes because you're still growing in that level, right? So this did happen, multiple times where your uncles or your family members, and more
Yes,
than your
yes.
parents, sometimes family members are the
It's
ones
yes.
putting the spin
It
on
just
you.
amazes me because like you said that you were so good in studies already. Because एक चीज़ में नहीं घुस पाए जिसमें बहुत ही टफ भी है घुसना, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि instead of even looking at us as somebody who's perfect, we are not able to do that.
True.
And you said that,
Absolutely,
right? That it
absolutely.
impacted your friendships
Yeah.
in the college,
I
right?
think that's a very important thing, right? Like, during all this happening, when I was in school days, I was very active with, my friends, my circle. I was into arts, culture, events and all this thing. And I really wanted to become a house captain in my school. So I was living that dream of becoming a house captain while I was in the school, right? But suddenly, when I came in 11th, one of my uncles came, he said, okay, this is the time when you need to focus on your life. This is 2 years of life are the most important ones. You need to start working, on your concepts and studies and everything. And my parents were like, okay, from tomorrow he's gonna come to your coaching, and no more extracurricular activities and all those things, right? And I just had to give up my dream of becoming a house captain, which I think would have been more important, because that is what personality development actually means. See, kids in early days learn about their leadership skills, about their other skill sets. Now, if you're entirely focused on just studies, you're losing a big part of your life.
मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि एक गैप आ जाता है बच्चे में और पेरेंट्स में, बिकॉज बच्चे को हमेशा लगता है कि वो डिसअपॉइंट कर रहा है, एंड दैट किड इज नॉट एबल टू बी अपनी वो जो उसकी एक लव होता है, अफेक्शन होता है टुवर्ड्स पेरेंट्स, आई थिंक यू नॉट एबल टू शो इट बिकॉज यू ऑलवेज थिंकिंग कि आई हैव फॉलन शॉर्ट ऑफ समथिंग.
I think that's a good point. I think the reason why we have this kind of difference in generations, right, is because somewhere the kids start, when they obviously come out, right, they start feeling that because of so many biases and so many pressures, they maintain a boundary between their parents. They don't share that.
They don't want to deal.
Exactly. They're like, maybe they don't understand. And I think somewhere parents also need to evolve in that way, because there's a huge generation gap.
There's a huge generation gap.
What is existing today was not there even 10 years back. Imagine our parents 60, 70 years back, right? So there needs to be a, I think, growth for even the parents also. And it's very difficult because typically as you grow elder, you are more biased because you already learned something. And then unlearning something for your kids is a task.
It's a challenge. It's a challenge.
So there's the reason why you have now so much of parenting lessons coming up, because some people have realized these failures of parenting in the initial days.
Absolutely.
So, but I'm lucky over there that at least my parents were quite open-minded. So they evolved with time.
They evolved.
Like,
they evolved.
I mean, I remember my relatives saying things more than my parents, basically. At one point, obviously, parents had doubt, like what I'm doing in life. But now they know that, okay, all
now
this
you
was
have, now
also worth
yes,
it.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So, like you say, how they say that, the end justifies the means,
The
right?
end justifies.
So,
it took you some time. And I also think, like, we'll come to it again, like later. But, so once you did your college and you got into something which was, what did you get into?
So I took a job. I took a job because that was what was expected out of you after college, right?
Yes.
I mean, you were supposed to take placements. And I still remember there was a time, and this is interesting actually, right? Like, if I look at the entire journey after I got this, maturity of thinking, like, every point there was a choice for me. Whether should I do this or should I not, right? And somewhere I always kind of succumb to the pressure of society and the expectations of people.
कि यही सही है,
यही सही है,
जॉब लेना ही सही है.
Because I still remember I was doing fairly well in my entrepreneurial journey when I started in college itself, and I could have led it on and maybe did something well, but self-doubt, right? And I was like, okay, I have a placement in hand. I have this thing currently going on which has no future right now. It's just a belief that okay, something it's a dream, right? So what do you choose? And then you're coming from a place where you have a huge education loan on you. Your parents have struggled a lot to put you over there, right? So what do you do in this situation, right? And suddenly the kind of pressures you have, you choose something you don't really want.
You don't really want.
So
or you don't agree with. Your body doesn't agree with.
So I took it, maybe, I took it because it was the best thing to do.
Yeah.
And 1 year down the line, I had to quit because somehow I just didn't feel it.
Okay.
And that's very important, right? Before you start doing something, you need to feel it.
Okay.
And I quit my job without thinking about anything else, right? And I should have kind of planned it. Because finances are the most important ones to have, right?
So your parents, then you went home and everybody would be like, एक तो ये IT में नहीं आया, पर सब इसने job भी छोड़ दी.
No, I
Did you hear it or not?
I heard this from my uncles more than my parents. So my parents.
Sorry, I'm like, no, but this is a narrative which is like so common, right?
Yeah. At least my dad, I remember he's saying, "Okay, if you think this is right for you, do it. I'll figure out something. I'll manage." My uncles were like, "You lost your mind. You're living such a good job." And then in my family, one of my uncle was an engineer from IIT. And he was working in a very big company. And when he saw my placement news, he was so happy because it was a very good company. So he was telling the entire family members कि देखो
इसकी job लग
Kumar
गई।
has got into this company,
हाँ,
right?
हाँ।
So it was a big thing that I got into a big company, right? And it was a good company. Like if I would have stayed, I would have done pretty well. But that's not what I wanted, right?
Yes.
So somewhere I think again disappointment in the family कि ये
Yeah.
लड़का कर क्या रहा है? Your first, supporters
Yes.
are your family members.
Family members.
If they're not supporting you, you'll always have self-doubt.
You will oh wow.
Yeah, you'll think, if my parents are not supporting me, why will I,
Maybe I'm
do
doing
something
something
wrong, right? That's exactly when we even raise money also. The focus we have on raising from angel investors, and you might have heard, right? The first investment you get is from 3 Fs: friends, family, and fools, right? If your friends and family are not investing in you,
Then you.
why would a third investor, random person, will invest?
We are growing, and we are not able to build that confidence in us.
Right.
It affects every aspect of our life, right?
I remember like the entrepreneurship word was so new to the entire family because I was a first generation entrepreneur in my entire family, both the sides,
So when you told them,
right? Like, ये सब क्या होता है startup, right? For them, startup is like okay, हाँ दुकान खोल के सुबह शाम जो आप करते हो typically, right? That's like a business running, right? But nonetheless, like after I quit my job, I was looking at something which I can do to also make money because that was an important factor, and also continue something on my passion basically, right? And I think one of the things which has been common in last few years is whatever I want to do in life, it has to have some impact.
okay,
And when I say impact, it has to be, in good for the people around you.
okay,
India as a country needs to be, having solutions for
so many
sanitation,
things, yes,
climate,
Sanitation,
right?
Yes, education,
Education, right? So there are a lot of real problems to be solved for.
and we can see the impact right then and there.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
so my thing was very clear that whatever I do in life, it has to have a very big impact on a problem which is very important. Okay. So after I quit my job, I kind of dabbled with a couple of things, few years. I think the big break started for me in the pandemic period, right?
Okay,
Ironically, right? Though it was a bad period for a lot of people,
For a
but
lot of people.
I think that was the
I think
start
it was eye-opener. It was an eye-opener for a lot of people
absolutely.
too.
I think
right?
this is also a big reason that it actually, realized people that, they really need to focus on
Themselves.
the right things
Right
and,
things.
themselves. Because you remember, like, a lot of people were focusing on how do we build immunity of our own body.
Yes.
You can't keep eating medicines always, right?
Yes.
And we as Indians, we always said that we have good immunity, but it's not like that, right? And our food choices have affected these things a lot. So somewhere I had this thing that okay, we need to eat healthy. Obviously, then I started talking to farmers that what are they growing and how are they growing all these things, right? We already have enough organic stuff going on, but the problem again is you don't know what is organic. There's no transparency over there.
So you just like decided to go to the farmers. Like it just happened like that, or
So I think I think the motivation was that I like the impact part I mentioned, right?
Yeah.
There were aqua farmers and there were poultry farmers. So while talking to all of them, there was one common problem which I saw across the spectrum, which is on the input cost, which is the feed they're giving. It's very expensive,
okay,
and more than that,
feed
What
they're
is-
giving to their cattle
cattle
and to their poultry.
and the poultry
Okay.
is a big cost item, right? It's like how you and I eat food. They have to give feed every day. And the bigger problem was the quality of feed was actually the bigger question, right?
Okay.
So it's not the cost. Obviously, cost is one of the factors, but the quality of feed was the most important part, which farmers had no idea about.
Okay.
And I asked them about that. Okay, what
क्या
are you
देते हैं?
giving right now?
हाँ.
Someone has told them something, or they're growing something, some food waste.
कुछ भी
What are
देती
they
है.
can resource? Or if they get something from the market, they buy and they give it, which is expensive. So the problem was farmers had no idea
What
as to what they were giving the animals,
what they're feeding their animals.
what they're feeding the animals. It's very
Okay.
opinionated.
हाँ.
Someone told them something, or a doctor said ये खिलाओ, तो खिला दिया. So we got this idea to build like a healthy family for animals.
Okay. And which farmers you targeted?
So
like,
we targeted initially cattle. Now the
no,
cattle.
like the which state?
So we targeted Uttar Pradesh to start
Because
with.
you're from UP.
Because we're from UP.
You thought
so,
that,
it's easy to connect with the farmers.
Language
is
also.
a big barrier, right?
Language,
So, even in UP also, there's so many dialects, but still actually you can manage, right? If you go to other states, it's very difficult to manage.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So, UP was a starting point for us, and obviously it was Lucknow being the hometown. And one thing was clear that, the input of animals is very, very important because it can have various consequences. So we started going into the consequences.
Okay.
Right? And one of the consequences, which was the most dire one, which led me to kind of finally come to this, right, was that the feed what goes to animals often contains a lot of toxic elements.
Okay.
And one of the very popular toxins in the feed is called aflatoxin, which is a carcinogen.
Oh,
Now,
so it
in
can
India,
cause cancer.
in India, yes. So aflatoxin is a fungus typically found on maize and a lot of other grains, which is a very important commodity for animal feeds.
Yes, yes.
And whenever it goes into animal feeding, the residue of aflatoxin is in the milk. Now,
और
that
वो
was the
वो
most surprising
वो
part.
दूध को उबालने से जब हम दूध को गर्म करते हैं तभी भी नहीं जाता.
No, it's not like your, like some,
Boiling.
bacteria and all this thing. It basically, it's, it kind of alters the DNA of milk in a way.
Okay.
Right? And it's very surprising that we know about this fact, at least the authorities know about this thing.
अच्छा.
And though India is the largest producer of milk in the world, the quality of milk is not so good.
Interesting.
It's because we have been using, this kind of stuff. And the other
Also, it is not organized, right? कोई किसी farmer से ले आते हैं, कोई किसी farmer से ले आते हैं.
So,
So we just
yeah, I mean,
you know.
the dairy in India is quite big.
quite big,
So,
and people have their own private.
correct. So you have now the small, dairies which is near you, and often these people, because they want to make more money from a, cow or a buffalo, they use, they use stuff like urea, detergent powder,
Really?
and all those things to make the milk look good, basically, right? And very, very, very interesting fact I'll tell you. A few years back, there was an injection which was being used heavily in India by these farmers, which is oxytocin injection, which is love hormone, right? So typically it is said that if a cattle is happy, it will give more milk.
Yes, yes.
So to make the cattle happy, they used to artificially inject it in the animal to produce more milk, right? Then oxytocin got banned in India, right?
Okay.
But imagine almost few generations
But
drank that
people
milk.
consumed, right?
Consumed
that
milk,
that
right?
milk, right?
So somewhere I think the awareness was also missing from the urban consumers, and farmers don't know about all this thing, right? They have their own issues. They have to survive. For them, it's about survivability. So where does the solution start from?
So how do you help? Do you make a product or do you make
Correct.
them aware?
So the first thing was to make them aware. Now, not on just this thing that this is aflatoxin. They don't know all these terms, right? Fancy terms. For them, it was all about whatever you're feeding right now is causing your animals poor health, more diseases. So if you have more disease, you are spending more money on medicines and vaccines and all those things. So you're spending too much money on that, right? So, and also the milk output is not so much. So if you look at the biological average of the species the Indian farmer have, it can give you good amount of milk. But the Indian average is around 4 or 5 liters per animal,
Per animal.
which is quite less.
Okay.
Right? So farmers know this thing, that somewhere something is not right. The problem is, where do they go?
Where do they go? Or maybe they were never able to identify the problem itself,
Some obviously, most of the farmers have never been doing that, but now if you look at like say Punjab or Maharashtra, there are some farmers who are doing very well, right? And I think a very good thing which happened, as a result of this pandemic, was the distribution or the penetration of smartphones and
Okay.
this, the cheap data.
Okay.
Today, let's say a UP farmer has no idea, like you said, right? He does not know if he's doing something wrong. But now when he has a smartphone and YouTube, he's seeing a farmer sitting in Maharashtra with the same animal producing double the amount of milk. He's like, oh,
How does it happen?
how does it happen? So now he's like, okay, maybe something I'm doing wrong.
Wrong.
So he has that urge to ask or to look out for solution. And that I think that helped us a lot.
That helped you a lot.
Because when
How
we
did
went to
you-
market,
Yeah.
so like I said, we actually built a Healthify Me for animals, for this cattle, right? So how you and I today go on Healthify Me, we have dietitians and all these things to give us recommendation. Our mobile application was where we had some veterinary doctors, some expert on nutrition, and we were giving them advice on how to feed the animal in the right way,
Okay.
using the raw materials you have, localizing everything for you, not recommending that okay, you procure something from Tamil Nadu for that matter. Right?
So you were doing that also.
Correct. So initially
Okay.
we started doing that, right?
You were not just like advising them, but you were also
No.
providing them with the material.
Exactly. So we help them procure some raw material, we help them procure some good quality feeds. But then one day we realized that whatever we are giving them is not enough, because it still has the same problem. The feed or the raw material coming still has a toxicity,
Acha.
problems.
Okay.
How do I solve this problem basically, right?
Of toxins.
Of toxins in the milk.
Huh.
And that is where we started working with some scientists.
Okay.
And then we identified this problem and why this problem is happening. So there did come a point where we found a solution which can solve this problem, like killing the toxins in the process. So we started working with these folks in the country, and we had some good help from some Israeli scientists also. And we were finally able to come up with a product which we can easily recommend to a farmer that whatever you're feeding right now, just add like 100 to 200 grams of this powder in your feed.
Okay.
And this will reduce toxicity of the feed by killing those, protozoa, fungus, and all those things, and improve the digestion of the animal. So the digestion of animal is good. It is
Yes.
producing more milk,
Yes, and they're healthy.
and they're healthy also, right?
Yeah.
So a farmer. So today we have almost 1 lakh plus farmers in our network who are working with us, and almost the farmers who have purchased the products, they have very good feedback on the milk output increase and the quality increase as well. And you can see visibly also that the animal is much healthier compared to last time.
Yes.
So the winning, I think the day was that when we saw farmer earning more money from this milk. So we enabled the farmers to have better purchasing power. Now they have purchasing power, so they can invest into
More,
good quality
more.
stuff.
Yes, yes.
So that was a big thing,
Plus the
which
health of the
actually-
animal.
Absolutely. Like the moment you have a better health of the animal, you're spending way less amount of money on medicines.
Yes, and the end user like us, they're
Correct.
getting good milk.
That is the ultimate goal.
Ultimate goal.
Now that the milk is coming to you, if it is free of these toxins and antibiotics and stuff, you will see a difference over there.
Wow.
And right now you must be, thinking, getting a lot of about, A2 milk, A2 products and all this thing, right? It's coming up because somewhere the demand from the urban side is very important.
Is
See,
increasing.
the pull is very important. The farmers or the people who are producing dairy will only start producing good quality stuff when the demand for that is there.
Demand for them. Yes.
How we started asking for organic fruits, organic vegetables. Similarly, now there's a demand coming up for organic dairy. And simplest, I don't even say word organic too much. I say just say good quality dairy,
Good quality dairy,
just free of toxins. That's it.
free of toxins. So Ranjan, you have finally arrived.
I think somehow, I think it has been
No, you
a
have.
hell lot of a journey. But
You
yeah,
did
I
tell
think,
me that you got the funding also, na, very fast, like.
Oh yeah,
hai
so
na?
I think that is another interesting irony for me, right? Like 7 years in automotive, I was trying to figure out something and I couldn't raise money.
Huh.
But the moment I got into this agriculture thing and I went to investors and we discussed, I raised $500,000 on just an idea.
Just an idea, huh?
Like we figured out things while we.
Because it came from your heart.
I don't know, maybe it just came from anywhere, but I think that's how, like you said, right? Some things are meant for you in life. You just have to be patient to wait for those things to arrive. Sometimes good things are just waiting for you.
You said that.
Yes, I said that. so I think that has been I think now I'm much patient
Huh.
and much calmer before I do something,
Before you do something.
and I don't keep biases anymore.
Yeah.
I am like with my family members, all my uncles who say stuff, they're now proud of me. So,
It's done.
it's done. Right? But that hunger of,
Proving
yourself and not getting into that thing
Huh.
kept me going for a certain time of.
Yes. Yes.
And it kind of, led me to a lot of things.
Not letting it go out.
I always had thinking, Abhi, I have to do best. So that hunger drive.
Yes. I think there's a huge market for it because हमारे देश में तो इतना ज़्यादा है कि दूध पियो and all, and it's kind of terrible that what we are drinking is something not good. मतलब हम बच्चों को इतना force करते हैं कि दूध पियो, and actually if you think about it कि हम उसको toxins पीने के लिए बोल रहे हैं.
Correct.
So Ranjan, tell me about your diagnosis. How
Correct. So this, again,
it was a shock to me yesterday when you told me about it.
It was shocking for me also.
Yes.
It was right after I had raised my investment. Now imagine like everything is falling in place.
Yes.
I just got the funds in place,
Just
and
started to fall into place.
everything is now looking up, going up, and this is the reason why I said the belief system, right? The belief why I started believing in these things more and more, because I was like, okay, I think now it's everything sorted. I'm gonna build the best company now. And I went to Bombay for a meeting, and I was meeting this guy who was there, and he said, "Ki Kumar, I know this trustee of Siddhivinayak temple. And Siddhivinayak is a very popular, Ganesh temple over there, and people use Ganeshji as the first idol before they start some work, right? So he said, let's go there, let's, because you've raised the investment, let's take a blessing, right? And I said, I don't mind that, right? See, I've never been, biased that way. I have been to churches, I've been to mosque, I've been to all those places. I respect everyone equally, right? So I went out of respect because Siddhivinayak is so popular. And I went, we got a VIP darshan. And while I was there, I just looked at the idol and I was like, okay, bless me with, courage so that I can fight anything in life. I didn't ask anything specific कि मेरे को और funding दिला दो या मेरे को घर दिला दो या मेरे को वो चीज़ दिला दो. I just had that, give me enough strength, courage to fight.
I always ask that
the right thing, right?
Yeah.
I think
Maybe that's not a good thing to ask.
I don't know. So
I also asked that, and then God is like testing you.
which is fine, right? So I did that and I came back to Lucknow and it was like Diwali time coming up, right? So my mom had to go for a quick checkup, so I went with her like two days back.
Acha.
And I was like, chalo, theek hai, if we have come
After
here.
the darshan, you went to Lucknow?
Lucknow, yeah. So I was back in Lucknow, I was setting up my office over there, and my mom had to get his checkup, so I went with her to get the checkup. And I was sitting over there like, okay, let me also get a ultrasound done. I just went.
Which is just such a shocker to me. Like, why out of anything
exactly,
else?
right? Like exactly. There's no logical explanation that.
Ultrasound is what normally doctor tells you, right? Ki
Exactly.
kara lo.
You have some symptom, right?
You
or
have
you
some symptom.
go and get a diagnosis and you say, okay, fine, I'll go for a checkup, right? I was just sitting over there. I had to just go to office. I was literally in transit because of my mom. And I said, okay, I'll also get a simple ultrasound done. I just went and the doctor checked and she was like, okay, do you have some pain? Do you have some symptom? I'm like, no, I don't have anything. He's like, okay, I see something on your left kidney. Why don't you get it checked? So I said, okay, fine. And I came back and I said, Dad, ये कुछ report में आया. I think we can do a CT scan. So without a delay, I think that's one of the things which I did, that whenever you get some signal, don't take it lightly. Respond immediately.
Yeah.
So same day I went for a CT scan, and the doctor again was like, do you have any symptom? I was like, no, nothing symptom. Like, okay, but this is serious. And he said it's a stage 1 RCC, which is called renal cell carcinoma. So RCC is a very rare type of cancer, which happens in typically elderly people. And happening to me at that level, I was gonna be 30, I was still 29.
And healthy, right?
Right? And I have been athletic entire life, and I'm like, damn, how is this possible?
My God.
So when this happened,
Out of nowhere, right?
Out of nowhere, right? Like just,
The ultrasound thing really gets me.
right?
Like,
So and this happened, like the more surgeons and doctors I met, everyone just said, you are just very lucky. Right? The word lucky and somewhere the blessings and people, this has come into picture. And we found it at the very right time. It was just like in early stages, very, very early stages. And thanks to the recent medical developments and stuff, they were able to remove it. And
I think within a
everything
week
is-
you got
within
it.
a week, yeah. So I mean, as soon as Diwali was over, I was in the hospital 10 days in the surgery and all those things, and I was back, and I was back healthy. And I think just for 2 weeks I went to Shark Tank in Bombay, and I was still having that that pad which I was wearing to.
You
kind
went
of
to
keep
Shark
my-
Tank?
Yeah, I went to Shark Tank season 1. So. I told Sony, so my shoot was supposed to happen during that same operation, surgery period. And I told my producer that I can't come because I have this urgency. So producer made an exception, said, Ki, don't worry, get this thing done. I will see you in Bombay. So they delayed my shoot to December. So I went to my doctor and said, doctor, this is something I have to do. So he said, okay, I will allow you, but just be very careful while you're traveling, because you still have the stitches and stuff going on, and recovery takes time, right? So I still had that stick with me which I was carrying over there. So I went there and my partner was with me. So 4-5 days we stayed over there. We shot the entire episode, and we had already raised money. So I mean, raising money was not the intention for us, but yeah, the
Just
experience
being there,
of being a Shark Tank was amazing. This diagnosis and recovery and surgery. And then getting back to life was life-changing, right? Like, I think that is where I started believing in things more and more.
Like what? Like
So,
how?
I think sometimes you need to just have an open mind and not question things, and see, it's a very simple thing, right? Just because you don't know something does not mean it doesn't exist, right? Just because you haven't seen something does not mean it's not real, right? Some things are there, and you also might have seen that when you meet someone, there's a vibe with people. Sometimes you meet someone and you say, I don't like this person, because there's some energy which doesn't really, kind of have good synergy.
Yes.
So there does exist
Energy.
energy which is between people, between surroundings, right? And some of the other way, the reason we say blessings, right? What does a blessing mean? This is how the blessings come in picture. When you are, taking blessings from elderlies or friends or family, from anywhere basically, you're taking that kind of a power around you to kind of, fight or to kind of help you go through all these phases. And that's why you have to make sure the people around you are treated with respect. That's very important.
That's very.
Only then you get the blessings, right?
Yes. Yes.
It's not about someone coming and touching your feet and saying, I'll bless you. No, nothing like that, right? You help someone and like, okay, God bless you. You're walking on the street, you help someone, it's like, okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much is also a blessing. So these blessings, come in disguise quite often. And, typically we ask this question, कि अरे यार, क्या होगा पूजा करने से, क्या होगा माथा टेकने से, right? There's some value to it. There has been some value to it. It's not about, praying an idol. That's a different thing.
It's a
But
belief.
just believing
Believing.
that some energy exists which is looking after you.
So you have come full circle. Huh?
I've kind of found a mission for myself now because after this happened, so I got more serious about this subject. Like, how did it happen to me?
I
right?
think this is just like, it's just mind blowing to me that you are 1 year before you are like, oh, they are toxins, and then your body has one, and then you are actually thinking about people. It's like kind of help came to you because you were thinking about eradicating a
Correct.
problem which people didn't know about.
Absolutely.
you
So I
know.
think now it just comes to me, right? Like, sometimes if you just decide, things start coming to you.
Paranjan, what is your philosophy of life now?
I think after all these years, one thing is to be happy and only indulge in those things, only meet those people, hang out with those people you feel good with. I think that is the biggest thing to live for, If you're not happy doing anything, it's not worth it for a long time, right? And that goes for everything in life, It's about work, personal life also.
So are you in a happy place right now? Your happy space?
Well, right now, I think I'm much happier compared to what I was last year. Though obviously I'm always a little, not say paranoid, but worried about my health.
Acha, haan.
And that's also because, I travel a lot and there are so many unhealthy options
Oh my God,
in
I-
front of you,
Yes,
right? Like I'm trying to remove palm oil from my diet, but every single product in the market, from your chocolates to your biscuits, even the healthy biscuits, they say,
Yes, everything has
everything
palm
has
oil.
palm oil, right?
Everything has palm oil.
So,
Oh my God.
you can't like find a
Yeah.
alternative so much.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some alternatives right
Like
now, but
fruits. Badam.
obviously, like, then you end up having fruit. But then when you're eating fruits, you don't know where this fruit is coming from.
Yeah.
Because, like, I know that for banana, for example, they use carbide for, making it
Make it
mature,
ripe.
right? So, and especially a lot of places, and see, it's a very simple thing, right? People want to make money, so they will do anything and everything to grow the crop as fast as possible, right? So they're adding a lot of, fertilizer which are very chemical oriented. They're adding, what is synthetic stuff. So everything is getting into your, diet.
Body, yes.
Like what I'm doing for dairy, exactly same for your crops and for your fruits also.
We need to do that.
Right? I mean, you need to find the organic alternatives and stop using chemicals as much as possible, right? And we need solutions now. We need innovations now. We can't depend always on कोई आएगा बाहर से तब करेंगे.
We have to do it on our own.
We can do it on our own, and we have the capability, right? We don't have to depend on someone else. We're very smart people. I mean, let's believe in that, right?
Yes.
Right? So we can do it. It's just a matter of fact that we can just focus a little bit on the right things.
Yes. What are the next steps for you in your business?
So right now, like I said, the toxicity part. So we are investing into some machineries, basically some equipments, where I can show people that look what you're consuming.
Okay, so you're going to invest in it. You're
So-
also going to some UP summit, right? Something.
So yeah, obviously we are going to summit. We are going to talk to the ministry to help us, because R&D is a very important aspect for our business. We need to do more and more research on developing new products, and coming up with solutions, and that needs a lot of investment. Private equity cannot just suffice the entire thing, so you need grants. So government has the capability of giving grants, right? So if UP government or Maharashtra government, where we are currently working, if they can support us in setting up a small lab, or maybe kind of giving a lab which is already existing, it will be very helpful for us, right?
Okay.
And we can develop more solutions and show to the world what exactly is happening. I think the first thing is to show people what they are consuming.
What do you want to achieve with your business? What do you want? What vision do you have? What is that?
So the vision is very simple now. Like, I want to make the entire country, especially the Indian dairy, free of toxins.
Wow. Wow.
I think now the people are also getting aware.
Huh.
And I think the thing you said, right? Like, the reason I didn't ask you about the followers and thing,
Huh.
I don't care about all these things. These are just
Now
some
you
numbers,
don't.
right?
Yeah.
All I care about is that someone asking the right question. Since you took some interest in what I was doing, more importantly is, it's like a domino effect. I talk to you about this thing, you go and talk to 5 people, and they get aware of these things.
Yes.
Right? Maybe through this podcast we are able to reach to better audience, right?
Yes.
And show them that, look, there is a lot to be done, and it all starts with you.
It's a mammoth task, but I think you'll be able to do it. Because now you believe in yourself. I believe in you. I think your parents believe in you.
Yeah.
Your whole
Now
family
they
believes.
believe.
Yes.
Now my family believes.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think they
absolutely.
always believed, but now I think it comes to us whether we believe in ourselves or not, right? And I
Correct.
think you do. And
Absolutely.
Ranjan, I really, really want to thank you that you came here, you talked with us. Such a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Shruti.
I hope you enjoyed this interview. I
absolutely.
just loved it.
No, I think you're a good messenger. I think you will spread this message across
I will
many
spread the
people.
message. I will be the message.
Back up.
Packers. Thank you.
Yeah.
ये सुरजीत ये तो आता रहेगा चलता रहेगा चलता रहे इसके वॉइस इज सो गुड यार हाँ
So
आई थिंक जय हाँ सो पे रहेंगे अभी
yeah, so pretty.
सो बट रियली यू जस्ट वेंट आउट टू मीट द फार्मर्स जस्ट लाइक दैट
हाँ, मतलब ऐसे ही कॉल करके पापा बात करनी, फार्मर से बात करनी है.
है यू हैव टू टेल दैट सो ऐसे ही हुआ
Potty curly deal on it, and I'm really tired.
थैंक यू विली
And I'm ordering something.
हाँ
Great.
बंद करना है ये दरवाज़ा मैं कर दूँ बंद कर दे दरवाज़ा बट मैं बोला क्वेश्चन एक बार फिर से पूछूंगी क्योंकि आई थिंक रंजन वॉज लिटिल स्लाउचिंग